بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، وصلوات الله وسلامه على نبينا الأمين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. Before we begin, Ikhwan, this class on Fiqh, we have to tell you about something that the Prophet taught us, sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, when he said that there were three people who came to his majlis while he was talking to the people. And while the people were sitting the way you're sitting, they didn't notice and they didn't recognize what had happened. Three men came to the majlis, and each and every one of them, they did a different thing. The first man came to the majlis, and he turned away. He came to the majlis, he saw what was taking place, and he turned his back and he walked away. The second man came to the majlis and he was shy, so he chose to sit in the back of the line, and he didn't want the people to see him. He didn't want to be from the people who were right in front of the talker, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Maybe he'll get called on, maybe he'll get picked for an issue. So what he did was he was afraid and he was shy, so he remained in the back so no one would see him. And then there was a third person who came to the majlis, and when he came to the majlis, he saw that there was a space in the majlis, so he came all the way up to the space and he filled in the space. As the Prophet was talking, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said to his companion, أَفَلَا أُحَدِّثُكُمْ بِثَلَاثَ نَفَرٍ. Should I not tell you about the three people? So he says, as for the first man, أَعْرَضَ عَنِ اللَّهِ فَأَعْرَضَ اللَّهُ عَنْهُ. وَأَمَّا الثَّانِي اسْتَحْيَ مِنَ اللَّهِ فَاسْتَحْيَ اللَّهُ مِنْهُ. وَأَمَّا الثَّالِث فَأَقْبَلَ عَلَى اللَّهِ وَأَقْبَلَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ. He said, as for the first man, he turned his back to Allah and he walked away. So Allah turned away from him and he left him as well. As for the second man, he was shy. He sat in the back, he was shy. So Allah was shy of him in a way that's befitting His Majesty. As for the third one who came, he came to Allah, so Allah came to him. He connected the spaces, Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala connected him. We understand from this hadith that two people will never ever learn. Wa alaikum salam. The first person who will never learn is the arrogant one, the one who thinks he knows everything, the one who thinks no one can tell him anything. That guy is never going to learn because he thinks he knows everything already. He turns away from the information, so there's no way possible he's going to get any benefit. The second person who will never learn is the guy who's shy. He's shy because he's a new Muslim. He's shy because he didn't do good academically in school. He's shy because he doesn't want to look like he's stupid in front of his brothers. He's shy for whatever reason. That guy is never going to learn. That's one of the places where shyness is mazmoon. Al-haya, or shyness, in the majlis of knowledge is disliked. He has to be aggressive. But the one who's going to learn is the one who is muqbil. Muqbil al-khayr. Like Sheikh Muqbil. Muqbil means the one who comes to something, or who accepts and embraces something. So we want to make it perfectly clear. All of us, by the text of the Qur'an, we have been born ignorant. هو الذي أخرجكم من بطون أمهاتكم لم تعلموا شيئا. Allah is the one who took you out of your mother's stomach and you didn't know anything. So we accept that. All of us don't know something. So don't let anyone, Bahir, Anwar, Umar, do not let anyone sit here and be of the people who are afraid. The way you're going to learn is by trying to be a person who's going to get the information. So as you already know, we're going to do a class on Tuesday night about al-Fiqh in the religion of al-Islam. And the Fiqh of al-Islam, before we can even study any issues and any rulings, we have to first get a concept of what is Fiqh. What is Fiqh? So that's the first issue that we're going to deal with is the definition of Fiqh. For the brothers who speak some Arabic or they know some Arabic, Fiqh is Fa, Qaf, Ha. Fiqh. We're going to learn what is Fiqh. What is the meaning of Fiqh in the religion? We're going to study Fiqh. What is that? Is it tafsir? Is it tawheed? Is it aqidah? Is it the Arabic language? So when the test comes And the test is always going to ask you the question of what is the meaning of this and what is the meaning of that of what you study. So you have to always remember, when the test comes, you're going to be asked, what's the meaning of fiqh? The meaning of fiqh linguistically is very, very simple. Fiqh means fahm, or to understand, understanding. That's the meaning of fiqh in the language of the Arabs. Fiqh linguistically means to understand, to have fahm. How do we know it means that? We know it means that from too many ahadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who was the expert in Arabic language. They described his speech sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and they said, "Kana kalamun nabi sallallahu alaihi wa ala alihi wasallam faslan yafqahuhu kullu ahad lam yakun yasriduhu sardan." They described his speech and they said, the speech of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was very clear. Yafqahuhu kullu ahad. Everyone understood it. And the Arabic word that they used was fiqh. Yafqahuhu. Now the brothers who know some Arabic, they can appreciate that. Yafqahuhu. Everyone understood it. So they use the word for fiqh for understanding to describe his speech here. So that's how we know fiqh in the language means understanding. This is not some science that is for, a rocket science. Even if you don't know Arabic, you can comprehend. In that hadith they said, كان كلام النبي صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وسلم فصلا يفقهه كل أحد وَلَمْ يَكُنْ يَسْرَدُهُ سِرْدًا. The speech of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was clear. He did not eat his words. He used to speak and it was very, very clear what he was saying, because he is the muballigh anillah. He's the one who's teaching the people about Allah. He cannot afford for someone to misunderstand what he said. So the way that we know that fiqh means understanding from the language is that they said everyone understood his language, and they use the word for fiqh. But what is the fiqh in the technical meaning? And this is important. If you look at the books of fiqh, you're going to always find the scholars teaching like this. Linguistically it means this, and the technical meaning of al-fiqh is what? The technical meaning of the fiqh is al-ilmu bil-ahkam al-shar'iyya min adillatiha al-tafsiliyya. It's easy. Fiqh is the science of the Sharia, or the sacred laws of Islam. The Sharia, the science of the Sharia based upon is detailed proof. We're going to explain that a little later on, and it's going to become clear to you what that means, inshallah. Fiqh technically means the science of the Sharia, or the sacred laws of Islam, based upon its detailed proofs, its dalil. So those are two aspects of fiqh that are very important. Two aspects of fiqh that are very important. So far we have the linguistic meaning of fiqh. It means to understand, to comprehend, to have some fahm. And the technical meaning of fiqh is the science of the Sharia based upon its detailed proof. There's a third part of fiqh that you have to understand, and this is really important because we were tried with it a few minutes ago. A man is not considered to be a faqih until he grasps this third part. So when we ask you on the test, what are the three crucial points that we discussed about fiqh and its meaning? These are the three things you have to bring: the linguistic meaning, the technical meaning, and number third. And that is, fiqh is having the ability, when you're faced with two evils, knowing which of the two evils is less, so you choose that one. Or you're faced with two good things, and knowing which of the two good things you should choose to bring the most benefit. You can write that down in your own words. The third aspect of the fiqh is a person being faced with two evils. He has to fall into one of the two evils. He has the ability to choose the lesser of the two. He has fiqh. Or he's being faced with two good. He has the ability to choose the good that's going to bring the most benefit. And we have too many examples of that. And this is why we have to become fuqaha. This is why we have to have comprehension of our religion. The police came up and they confronted one of our brothers. That's evil. Very, very evil. To have a brother stretched out on our property and then the other police to come down with that drama that they brought. As I'm standing there as a student of knowledge or a faqih, I say to myself, I'm not going to let them take my brother, so I pull out on him and I start gripping. Him getting taken away is evil. But the greater evil would be for those people to cause all of the havoc and the damage that we are not ready to embrace and we're not ready to accept. The faqih has the ability to do that. The man is not married, and that's evil. He has a fitna, not being married. He has a fitna, it's a problem. But there's a sister who's available for marriage. Marrying her is going to create a bigger problem for whatever reason. He has enough sense to say, I'm going to deal with this lesser evil, I'm going to choose the lesser evil before I open up the door for the greater evil that's going to destroy me. So that's the three aspects of the fiqh. And there are too many examples of that we can give you. Living examples. The person is making the salah, and as they pray they see their child who's just beginning to crawl or just beginning to walk about to put a nail in the electric socket, and they're making the nafil salah. He says to himself, should I continue to pray, or should I be muqbil with Allah and leave my child to go in and stick the thing in there? Clearly the faqih is going to have the knowledge to say, I'm breaking my salah, I'm going to go and stop this child. Everyone knows the hadith of Jurayj, in which his mother came and his mother said, Ya Jurayj, Ya Jurayj, while he was praying. And he said, my salah or my mother? And he continued to pray. And it happened a couple of times until the mother made dua against him, and everyone knows the hadith. If Jurayj had been a faqih, he would have known the salat is the sunnah, and listening to my mother and answering her call, her request is wajib. I can't put the sunnah over the wajib. I have to do what's wajib before the sunnah. And anytime you don't do this, you're going to suffer the consequences of it in this religion. So those are the three things as far as the definition of the fiqh. That linguistically it means to do what? To have understanding. You can say to someone in Arabic, faqahta qawli, do you understand what I said? You can say that. The second thing is that the fiqh is the science of studying the sharia with its detailed proof. And the third thing about the fiqh is having the ability to choose the lesser of the two evils, or to choose the two goods, the good that's going to bring more benefit. Now we want to write, what are some of the virtues of having fiqh in the religion? The test comes to one of you, and the test is so easy and comprehensive. If you go home and you give 15 minutes to what you're doing today, wallahi, the test is going to be easy. But if you wait a week, 2 weeks, and then the test comes, and you're waiting that long to study the night before the test, you're not going to be able to comprehend. You're not going to be able to recall. What are the virtues of getting fiqh in the religion? One of the clearest virtues is the hadith of Muawiyah. That's in Bukhari and Muslim. And we're not going to say, where is that hadith located? Bukhari and Muslim. Who narrated that hadith? But one of the proofs of the virtues of fiqh is when Muawiyah was on the minbar giving a khutbah to the people, and he said that he heard the Prophet say, sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sallam, man yuridillahu bihi khayran yufaqihu fi din. If Allah wants good for someone, He gives him fiqh in the religion. If Allah wants good for someone, He gives him fiqh or understanding of the religion. Again, ikhwan, you have to understand that fiqh, it is the scholar or the faqih or the person's ability to say the ruling for this is wajib and the dalil is this and this and that. That's part of being the faqih, but it's more than that. Whoever Allah wants good for him, He gives him understanding in the deen. So we understand from that what? We understand the opposite of that. If Allah Ta'ala didn't want good for someone, He'll leave that individual like a little baby. He has no idea of what he's doing, why he's doing it, when he should do it, how it should be done. He has to depend on everyone or other people to tell me what I have to do and why am I doing that. Whereas the faqih, he has the ability to understand. So that's one of the clear proofs. Another proof that shows the superiority and the virtue of acquiring fiqh and being the fuqaha is the statement in the Qur'an in Surah At-Tawbah. May Allah Ta'ala give us all the tawfiq to make the Tawbah. Ayat number 91. This ayat is one of the main proofs to show that you becoming a person who has some fiqh, knowing why you do what you do, is virtue. Allah Ta'ala said in that ayat, وَمَا كَانَ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ لِيَنْفِرُوا كَافَّةً فلولا نفر من كل فرقة منهم طائفة ليتفقهوا في الدين ولينذروا قومهم إذا رجعوا إليهم لعلهم يحذرون. Ayat number 91 from Surah At-Tawbah. Allah Ta'ala was talking about what took place at the Battle of Tabuk, when the Muslims were about to march to Tabuk, and it was very far and very hot. And prior to this war, there used to be a lot of pressure on the people who wouldn't participate in the war. So this was one war that the people were ready to participate in. So when they were prepared to go, Allah revealed the ayah. And it is not befitting for the believers for all of them to go out to make the jihad. There has to remain from them a portion of the people to remain behind, so that they can do what? So that they can get fiqh in the religion, so that they can teach their brothers when they come back, in the hope that they may be warned. Allah Ta'ala says, it is not befitting for the believers to all go out in the jihad. Some of them should go out, and then there should be a portion of them that remain behind in Medina, لِيَتَفَقَّهُ فِي الدِّينِ, so that they can continue to get fiqh in the religion, so that when their brothers who participated in the war come back, they can teach them what they learned, in the hope that the ones who come back, when they get taught, they will fear Allah and they will be warned. They will be warned about what's been prepared for the people in the hellfire. They will be told about what Allah Ta'ala prepared for the people in paradise. But this ayat is a clear proof that Allah Ta'ala allow a group of people to remain behind from the community for the sole purpose of getting fiqh in the religion. Now how is it that as jihad in the cause of Allah is so high, and yet we find Allah Ta'ala allowing a group of people to stay behind to get some fiqh? Why? Because it shows the importance and the superiority and the virtues of fiqh in the religion. When the people were fighting in Afghanistan, they used to ask those ulama, which one is better? A lot of the young people, should I stay here in Medina and continue to study, or should I go and make jihad? Most of those scholars used to tell the people, knowledge in this scenario is better. Getting fiqh in this scenario is better. If you go out and you make jihad and you get killed, your reward is going to fall on you. Inshallah, you get shaheed. But if you stay here and you get some fiqh in the religion, and then you go back to your country, and then you teach the people the fiqh of the religion, and then they teach other people the fiqh of the religion, and they teach other people all over the place, the reward and the benefit is going to be more and better. But it took knowledge of the scholar who's a faqih to understand that. Yeah, Sheikh, this guy is an oppressive ruler. Should we go up there and blow him up And should we rebel against them? Don't do that. You're going to make a bigger problem. That's the fiqh. Being able to choose between the two evils. What the guy is doing is oppression and it's evil. But what's going to come as a result of you revolting against them is going to be a bigger evil. So in this ayah, ikhwan, in Surah At-Tawbah, ayah number 91, Al-Imam Al-Qurtubi, you guys should write that name, Qurtubi, Al-Imam Al-Qurtubi. Write it however you want. Qurtubi is a place in Spain. Yeah, I think they call it Cordoba. It was one of the main learning places in the Muslim world. Al-Imam Al-Qurtubi, he wrote a book about tafsir of the Qur'an. His book of tafsir only deals with the ahkam of the Qur'an. The ahkam of the Qur'an, or the rulings that we get from the ayat of the Qur'an. He's not going to spend a lot of time telling you about what Alif Lam means and what was said about it. That does not concern him. Anytime he comes upon an ayat that's talking about fiqh, that's when he go to work. Any ayat, eat this, don't eat this is haram, this is halal, marry this one, that. That's when the imam get busy. So if you're looking for Alif Lam Mim, you would never go to his book. He's not going to tell you that. He'll skip over it altogether. About ayat number 91 in Surah At-Tawbah, Al-Imam Al-Qurtubi said, هذه الآية أصل في وجوب طلب العلم والفقه في كتاب والسنة. He said this ayat, number 91 from Surah At-Tawbah, is a fundamental ayat that proves the obligation of a person learning knowledge and getting fiqh of the kitab and the sunnah. Allah is telling the people making jihad, there has to be a group of people who remain behind in order to get fiqh. Now we come to a real important point, ikhwan. Don't keep on writing, you just be writing and you be missing what's going to come next. Yes, I'm going to ask you. We're going to have this thing that we're going to do, inshallah. General Islamic questions after Asr. We're going to hand the brothers a piece of paper, 3 questions, answer the question. Who is Al-Imam Al-Qurtubi? He was an imam from Spain. He wrote a book of tafsir of the ahkam of the Qur'an. I have some general knowledge of who he is. Give me the 11 names of the wives of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We're going to start doing that just to kind of like educate ourselves. But listen to this point right here. I don't want you to keep writing and you miss this point. In this ayah, there's something very important we have to understand here. The ayah said, let a group of people remain so that they can get some fiqh in the religion, so that they can do what? So that they can teach the people when they come back in the hopes that they will be warned. This ayah shows us something very important that passes over most of our heads. And that is, the ayah shows that the intent and the niyyah behind fiqh and behind knowledge is that you give the creation dawah. Let them get some fiqh so that when these people come back they can teach them so that they will be warned. The intent behind fiqh is not for us to sit down and start arguing with each other. Haram, halal, wajib, makruh. That's not the intent. Look at some of the fiqh books that have been written, and they are like a military camp. And they come up with these far-fetched concepts. If the sun rises from the west in Ramadan and it sets in the east, what do? They'll deal with that issue in the books of fiqh. What are you talking about? The sun rises from the west, people are in a state of drunkenness because it's Yom Al-Qiyamah. It's like the people in Byzantine. When they came up with those arguments, what came first? The egg or the chicken? The Muslim is not going to waste a lot of time. So that is not the intent of the fiqh, to be a person who can parrot off. قال الله تعالى وقال رسول الله وقال أبو بكر الصديق وقام الإمام. That's not the intent of the fiqh. The fiqh and the knowledge in the deen is designed to do what? For you to know it, practice it, and to call the people to it. and who has more right to be called to it in your family. So the question is, when we look at each other and we all know our situation, most of us only spend a fraction of our time learning and teaching our family. And this is a problem. That doesn't mean that a man has to be a scholar to teach his family. No. What he does know, he has to set out some time to educate himself and to educate his family. This is important. So that's the second proof that shows the virtue of the fiqh in the religion. Another proof, and a clear proof, ikhwan, is the statement of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in which Abu Hurairah radiyallahu anhu narrated this hadith, that is muttafaqun alayhi. What's your name, Akh? Rashid. Do you know what muttafaqun alayhi means? If we say that this hadith is muttafaqun alayhi, do you know what it means? How about you, Sharif? Anyone knows? Naam, Abdul Mu'min. If we say the hadith is muttafaqun alayhi, that means that the hadith is in Bukhari and Muslim. Now, Rashid, if that question comes to you on the test, and I see Rashid at the top of the paper and you got it wrong, we're going to call you out, Rashid, alright? And Sharif as well. Abu Hurairah narrated in this hadith that's in Bukhari and Muslim, it is muttafaqun alayhi, another hadith that establishes the superiority and the virtues of fiqh in the religion. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم الناس معادن كمعادن الذهب والفضة خيارهم في الجاهلية خيارهم في الإسلام إذا فقهوا. Anyone want to try to translate that? نعم باهر. Now, the whole hadith translation is like this. The people are like precious metals, like gold and silver. And this one is uranium, and this one is plutonium, plutonium, and this one is a diamond, and that whatever. The people are like precious metals, like gold and silver. The best of them in Jahiliyyah are the best of them in Islam with a condition, and that condition is if they get some fiqh of the religion. So we look at the best of the companions of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in Jahiliyyah. We look at Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, Umar, Uthman, Ali, Abdul Rahman ibn Auf. We look at the best of them in Jahiliyyah. When they came into Islam, they became the best of them in Islam when they got fiqh, when they got understanding. So a man, again, ikhwan, in the street prior to Islam, he may be a guy who's very highly educated, well-liked. He may be a person who the people fear him in the community. He may be a person that in Jahiliyyah, when he spoke, people listened to him, they paid attention to him. When he walked up, he didn't have to stand in any lines, doors open. If you want to get married, he got hooked up, whatever the case is. But when he comes into Islam, automatically, he doesn't have that right automatically. He gets that right if he has some fiqh in the religion, though. And even if a person in Jahiliyyah was insignificant, he was a nobody, people didn't pay attention to him in Jahiliyyah, if he gets some fiqh in the religion, he becomes honored and raised. Like what happened with Umar ibn Khattab radiyallahu anhu, when a group of people left Mecca and they came to Medina to visit the Khalifa, Umar radiyallahu anhu. He asked the man, who did you leave in charge as the Amir in your absence in Mecca? He said, I left Fulan ibn Fulan. He said, isn't that the free slave of so-and-so, so-and-so? He said, yes. He said, how can you leave a free slave in charge of the nobility of Quraysh and the Arabs? He said, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, he was afqahuna fi kitabillah. He was the most knowledgeable, had the most fiqh from amongst us in the book of Allah. Umar radiyallahu anhu said, إني سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول إن الله يرفع بهذا الكتاب أقواما ويدع به آخرين. I heard the Prophet say, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, verily Allah will raise certain people with this book of Qur'an and He will put other people down with it. So a man was nobody in Jahiliyyah, he comes to Islam, he gets some fiqh, he gets some honor, and he gets some position. And you can see that in the Muslim world. Many of the scholars, they were born, most of them, without any money. They were poor. And when you go around them, you find the people loving them, honoring them, respecting them, and you see the light from them, you see the beauty and the ease in their lives. Whereas the sons of the leaders and the leaders, they all tore up. They are tore up. They die young, overweight, a lot of problems, But you look at the scholars, he's an old man, 85, 90 years old, and he's still, mashallah, you see him. But he came from very humble beginnings. At hadith, the Prophet ﷺ shows and he proves that a person, if he comes into al-Islam and he gets some fiqh in the religion, he becomes a person who, again, is the best of the people. And again, we want to reiterate, ikhwan, that the knowledge of fiqh is designed to do what? To work by the knowledge, to call to the knowledge. Not to be a person who's getting fiqh in order to argue with someone. No, you should do it like that. No, you should keep it straight. No, you should put your hands back up. No, you should. People are arguing with each other over these issues. You have fiqh of issue? Alright, you practice it, call to a teaching, and that's it. Nor is fiqh designed to make money. Nor is the knowledge of Islam designed to make money or to be a person who wants to be looked at. So we always have to be careful of that in light of the hadith sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Naam akhi Abdul Hakim. Wa alaikum salam. No, that's the ayat that I mentioned from the khutbah then. It's not 91. It's ayat. Let me see. Let me get a green Qur'an. Can somebody give me the green Qur'an? To prove that the fiqh is designed for actions and not to get money or anything else, and the danger of that is the statement of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that we all should remember: "Ma dhi'ban ja'i'an ursila fi ghanamin fi afsada laha min hirs al-mar ala al-mali wa sharaf li dini." Two ravenous, hungry wolves sent out, set free, let loose on a group of defenseless sheep. Those hungry wolves, those two hungry wolves, will not do more damage to those defenseless sheep like the damage that will be done to a man who tries to search for money and status. A man who tries to search for money and status, and that is the sum total of why he thinks he's been created, and he works for those efforts. That desire to get money and status is more harmful for him in his religion. It does more harm for him in his religion than the harm that will be brought upon those defenseless sheep. Turn that to Surah At-Tawbah for me, inshaAllah. The last dalil, ikhwan, that we want to use is a beautiful hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You found it? This hadith of the Messenger of Allah alayhi salam is a similar tool that he gave. And you write shorthand just so that you can understand. And what are we trying to prove with this hadith, Fardan? The hadith that we already mentioned already, why would we mention those hadith? For what reason? Akhi Anwar, what was the reason that we mentioned the hadith? If Allah wants good for a person, He gives them fiqh in the religion. Why do we mention these hadith? Now, but why are we using these hadith, Akhi Umar? We're trying to prove the virtues of fiqh, the superiority of fiqh. Why we want to be people who are fuqaha and get some fiqh of our religion? The last hadith that we want to use to prove that point is the hadith that is also muttafaqun alayhi. Salih. What does it mean, muttafaqun alayhi? It was collected by Al-Bukhari and Al-Imam Muslim. And the Prophet ﷺ is illustrating to us, ikhwan, his ability to give these similar tools so that people can understand what he's talking about. Listen to this hadith that proves the virtues of al-fiqh and the superiority of a person being a fiqh, a faqih. قال صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وسلم مثل ما بعثني الله به من الهدى والعلم كمثل الغيث الكثير أصاب أرضا فكان منها بقية قبلت الماء فأنبتت الكلى والعشب الكثير وكانت منها أجادب أمسكت الماء فنفع الله بها الناس شربوا منها وسقوا ورأوا وأصاب طائفة منها أخرى إنما هي قيعان لا تمسك ماء ولا تنبت الكلى فذلك مثل من فقه في دين الله ونفعه ما بعثني الله به فعلم وعلم ومثل من لم يرفع بذلك رأسا ولم يقبل هدى الله الذي أرسلت به. He gave us similar to three types of land. He said the example of what Allah sent me with from guidance and knowledge, the Qur'an and the Sunnah. My example of what Allah sent me with is like the example of some rain that came out of the sky. The rain which came down in abundance, it came on a particular land. And that particular land absorbed the rain and took it into the earth. It took the knowledge, the guidance and the knowledge, and it absorbed it, and then it sent out vegetation. He took the religion, another dalil that knowledge is for working. The rain came down in abundance and it went into the soil and the soil absorbed it, took it in, and as a result of that it sent forth vegetation. That's the first example. And the rain hit another part of the land. And that land took in the rain, but it didn't send anything out. It didn't make any dawah. The benefit was for itself. It absorbed the rain, but it didn't send forth anything. And then the third land was the land that the rain came down, and the rain stayed on top of the land, and it was a puddle. And it made a mess. It was a flood. It didn't bring in anything, nor did it send anything out. The Prophet said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that's the example of the one who embraces what I brought, and he believes in what I brought, and he got benefit from what Allah sent, and the example of the one, and he got fiqh in the religion, the hadith said, and the example of the one who doesn't give that any consideration. So when the first rain, it took it down, just tell them the number. What number was it? The rain took it in. What number was it? 122. Ayat number 122. That's right. For Surah At-Tawbah. Wa ma kana. 122. Surah At-Tawbah. So in that illustration, in that similitude of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sallam, it shows us what? The virtues of getting fiqh in the religion. Because he said at the end of the hadith, that is the example of the one who believed in and he accepted what Allah sent me with from the knowledge and the guidance. And he got fiqh in the religion. And the one who didn't give any consideration to that. The one who didn't give it any consideration, of course, is like the third earth, the third type of land. The water hit it and nothing happened. It didn't absorb anything, nor did it put anything out. So all of those, ikhwan, are examples of the virtues of getting fiqh in the religion of Islam. So I want to know now, before we move on, because we don't want to bombard you with information. This, what you learned up until this point and what was given is comprehensive and it's easy. Are there any questions up until this point? Naam Ahi, Abu Amin.
The second proof, when you say that they think I'm not thinking, is to give down to the people and to guide to what is correct.
Yes. Yes. That ayat of the people who remain behind, so that they can get fiqh in the religion and teach their brothers when they come back. It proves that fiqh, the job, the responsibility, why it is so that people can work by it. So that people can work by it within themselves, and so that people can call other people to it, to give dawah. The Prophet says, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, in another tremendous hadith, خَصْلَتان لَا تَجْتَمِعَانِ فِي مُنَافِقٍ حُسْنُ السَّمْتِ وَفِقْهٌ فِي الدِّينِ. There are two characteristics that you will never find both of them being present in a munafiq. Two characteristics, two superlatives, two descriptions that you will never find together at one time in a munafiq. Maybe you have this one, but he won't have the other one. Maybe he'll have that one, but he won't have the first one. He said the munafiq will never have husnu samt, which means to look like he's righteous, to appear as if he's righteous, whether he's wearing a thobe and nice Islamic clothes or not. A person may not have very nice clothes, but he looks like he's a righteous man. He looks like he's a person who is upright. The way she dressed, when you look at her, you want to marry her because you don't know what's under that. It looks as if it's righteous. It reeks of taqwa. The munafiq won't have that, nor would he have fiqh in the religion at the same time. He may have fiqh of the religion, because the Prophet was afraid for his ummah. He said, I was afraid of kullu zi lisan munafiq. I'm afraid of the munafiq who has the ability to talk. So he may have fiqh, but if he has fiqh, he doesn't have a good that you can see. It's just not his character. It's looking at the individual appearance. You can see in their face, as many of the ulama from the Salaf used to say, like Abu Zar'a al-Razi and Ibn Abi Hatim, they used to say, if you're really on the sunnah, you have the ability to see the mark of the people of the bid'ah in their faces. That doesn't mean that we should walk around and say, he's a muqtadi, I see it in his face. But you can see, like when the Shaykh was describing to us Dhul Khuwaysira, when he came to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he had the big eyebrows and a protruding forehead, and his face was looking mean, and he was looking mean, and when he came amongst the people, everyone can see something is wrong with this man. You can see it. Simahum fi wujuhihim. Their marks are in their faces. So just to elaborate a little more on that issue, the munafiq, he's not going to have that. The two things is husn samt, he looks like the people of Islam, the people of goodness and virtue, good appearance, righteous. And the other thing is fiqh in the religion. It's impossible they won't have it. There are different interpretations that the ulama give about this hadith. Some of the ulama say the meaning of it, because look, the hadith is really serious linguistically. He said, خَصْلَتَانْ لَا تَجْتَمِعَانْ فِي مُنَافِقٍ حَسْنُ السَّمْتِ وَلَا فِقْهٌ فِي الدِّينِ. He said a good appearance, and he could have said linguistically, he could have said حُسْنِ السَّمْتِ وَفِقْهٌ فِي الدِّينِ, but he didn't say وَفِقْهٌ فِي الدِّينِ. He said وَلَا فِقْهٌ فِي الدِّينِ. So based upon that, because he added la, the scholars say that the reason that this hadith is telling the believer, not to be of the people. He has to make an effort. He has to make an effort to try to inculcate both of those descriptions within himself, and not to be of the people who only are satisfied with one of the two. To be far away from being the people on the munafiqeen. Now, Akhi Rasul, now we've taken the questions up into this point. Any misunderstanding, anything someone want to say? Now, Akhi Rasul. No doubt, Akhi, no doubt. In this ayah, Al-Imam Al-Qurtubi, in his book of At-Tafsir, ayah 122 in Surah At-Tawbah, he brought the statement of Abdullah ibn Abbas radiyallahu anhu. Go back if you can find the book. He brought the statement of Abdullah ibn Abbas, the one who the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam took his cloak off and he engulfed him in his cloak, and he said, Allahumma faqihhu fid deen. Allah give him fiqh in the religion. And in another narration he said, the fiqh of the meaning of the Qur'an. He brings a narration that's authentic, in which Abdullah ibn Abbas said to his student, خير جهاد أن تبني مسجدا ثم تتعلم فيه وتتفقه فيه ثم تعلم الناس. He said the best jihad is for one of you to build a masjid, and then to learn in that masjid, and then to learn and to get sick in that masjid, and then to go and to teach that knowledge. About this ayah, he said that. So how do we understand that? We understand that like we understand all other issues, ikhwan. We don't want to be like the people who hate jihad, and they want to look for every excuse not to go for jihad. There are times when it is obligatory to go to jihad and haram to do fiqh. When the jihad is fardu ayn, the enemy is right up on us, and they are about to get us and our children and mash Islam out. No one can be back in the masjid talking about, I'm going to become a faqih. No, everyone has to go out. Even the women in this issue is allowed for them to go out, as the wives of the companions did. They didn't go out to make jihad. They went out to help those who were injured. But it happened that some of the kuffar came to them, and one of the companions of the Prophet ﷺ by the name of Rumaysa, when the kafir was coming in, she took the sword and cut his belly open, and his intestines fell on the floor. And the Prophet ﷺ praised her for the effort. But we're not going to go overboard and say women should make jihad. La. The jihad is not for women. Their jihad is al-hajj wal-umrah. But when the enemy is on your doorstep, you got to make jihad. So that was the understanding of Abdullah ibn Abbas as it relates to what? As it relates to the time when the jihad is fardu kifaya. That's a good question, akhi. When it's fardu kifaya. Another thing, akhi, is there any jihad for the person who's ignorant? Is there any salat for the person who's ignorant? A man is ignorant, he doesn't know what he's doing. He's doing some ibadah and he's not knowing it. He's not going to get the full reward of the ibadah. So he says, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, فَضُّلُوا عَالَمْ عَلَى الْعَابِدِ كَفَضْلِ عَلَى أَدْنَاكُمْ. The superiority of the scholar over the one who's a worshipper is like the superiority of me over at least one of you. So we'll deal with that issue in detail at another time. That's not anything.
When the hadith of does that mean if the hadith is related, does that mean that it's automatically found in the collection of hadith Abu wa
Yes. If the hadith is muttafaqun alayhi, Bukhari and Muslim, then automatically it's in al-lu'lu' wal-marjan, and that book has been translated already. Naam akhi, Furqan. Abu Musa al-Ash'ari. Naam Ali. Anybody have any questions about Naam? Muhammad, did you get the third virtue of fiqh that we talked about? The third proof, the dalil to show the virtue of fiqh? Nah, it wasn't that one. That was the last one. What was the third one? Nah. The best in Jahiliyyah, the best in Islam is faqhu fi din. You just went shot in the dark, huh? Naam akhi, Ubaydullah.
The individual has the ability to choose the lesser of the two evils.
Now, what about it?
That's the third one.
Nah, he's asking for the third dalil that proves the virtues of fiqh. Yeah, your guys all over the place.
I didn't even write.
Nah, man. You guys all over the place. Listen, ikhwan, it's going to be easy for you to go back, to go home today, and you're not going to pay attention to this. And then today turns into tomorrow, and tomorrow into Thursday, into Friday, into Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Inshallah, we're not going to know anything. So we're saying to you, you have to take a few minutes to get this. It's easy. I wanted to keep going, but we stop now, and I see there are questions. So we stop now to make sure you understand it. Because next week, inshallah, we're going to start taking issue. So let us start taking issue. Now, Mahi, Abdul Mu'min.
Now, about the virtues of fiqh, right? Which, like, what section of the deen is the most virtuous that the early man speaks about, like, as far as the sunnah, the Qur'an, taking sunnah, the Qur'an, or, like...
The Qur'an should have priority over everything. The Qur'an should have priority over everything. And that's another proof that you can use to show the virtues of fiqh. The Qur'an should have priority, and there are a lot of dalils for that. But we don't want to split hairs. The Qur'an and the Sunnah was revealed at the same. They were revealed together. So both of them are understood with the other one. But the companions used to learn the Qur'an, and then they learned the Sunnah. Now, he said, هذه الآية أصل في وجوب طلب العلم والفقه في الكتاب والسنة. This ayah is a fundamental proof or principle that shows the obligation of getting knowledge and fiqh in the kitab and the sunnah. Because Allah Ta'ala allowed the people not to go out to make jihad fi sabilillah, and He allowed them to stay to get some fiqh in the religion. Everyone doesn't have to go out. Ammar. Are young? No, not necessarily. Doesn't imply anything like that. Young people can be in the jihad, young people can be left behind. But the young people who are left behind, that's one thing that they should be doing, for sure. Now, that's it. Any more questions, Ikhwan? Naam, Akhi Rasul. No time. I didn't hear. What did you say? The rain? Repeat it. Repeat it for you. He said his example is the example of what he brought from the guidance and the knowledge. Is like the example of an abundant rainfall that fell down from the sky. It fell on one section of the earth, on some land. And that land brought in, it soaked up the rain, it took it in itself, and then it sent out its vegetation. And then the second rain, it hit the ground, or the second ground, it was hit by the rain, by the rainfall. That rain soaked in the water, but it didn't send anything out. And then the third land is the land that just gathered the water up. The water did not go inside. And obviously it wasn't able to send anything else out. That is the example of the one who has accepted what I brought from the guidance and the knowledge, and he got fiqh in the religion. And the example of the one who disregarded that altogether. That's the hadith. You can put it however you want, the way you understand it. The point is, the three types of lands. There's the first person who got the fiqh of the religion, the understanding of the religion. He took it in, and he worked by it, he taught by it, he acted on it, he spread it. The second person is, he's a person who maybe, many of us can be like this person. The rain comes down and he gets the rain, but it stays right there with him. They're not work. But inshallah, no one is like that. Because everyone has a family member, everyone has something that he's doing on a level of dawah. Everyone. And in the third group, no one wants to be from them. You just turn around and you say no. That's the kafir, or it could be the Muslim who is not practicing the religion. Naam, ya.
Can you use the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam when he gave the example of the banquet? Whoever invited.
Same thing. It's the same hadith, the same concept. That there were those people.
That's the proof.
No. that they were invited to the banquet. Those people who accepted the banquet, the knowledge, the dawah, his example. They ate, had a good time, went to paradise, and the other people who rejected the food, the leader became upset with them, and he dealt with them. Yes. Alright, inshallah. Next week we're going to do the issue that we wanted to really start with today, but we had to do an introduction. So, just to summarize, we're going to start with the conditions. I don't know, I have to decide. To summarize very briefly, simply, fiqh is understanding linguistically, and technically is the study of the science of the Sharia or the divine laws of Islam based upon their dalil. This is haram because of this dalil. This is halal because it's dalil. This is makruh because it's dalil, and so forth and so on. And the third aspect of the fiqh is having the ability to choose between two evils and two good. That's the first point that we studied. Easy. The second point are the 4, 5, 6 examples of the virtues of getting fiqh in the religion. So the judge will say something very simple. Of course, we're going to have 2, 3 more classes before we have a test, inshallah. And the question says to you, give 2 examples of the virtues of fiqh. And then you give one of those things that we did, one of those things that we said, or something other than that if you want, inshallah. Naam akhi Muhammad Amin. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك واشهد ان لا اله الا انت استغفرك واتوب اليك. Is that too fast for you guys?